Oh, Lauren, Lauren, queen of the screen. With Botox so tight, you look like a dream. But your skin's so thin, it's like tissue paper. One wrong word and poof, you're a vapor. Hey, Lauren, Lauren, toes all sore and red. From folks stepping on them, now you're crying in bed. People are mean, you wail through the night. But you swing at victims' kin, what a sight. From YouTube throne, Queen Lauren's so grand. Now cast to the peasants with pitchforks in hand. You dish out the drama, true crime with flair. But cross your highness, oh beware. Family members grieving, you pounce like a cat. Claws out and hissing, imagine that. Botox can't hide that frown upside down. Your kingdom's crumbling, you're losing your crown. Hey, Lauren, Lauren, toes all sore and red. From folks stepping on them, now you're crying in bed. People are mean, you wail through the night. But you swing at victims' kin, what a sight. From YouTube throne, Queen Lauren's so grand. Now cast to the peasants with pitchforks in hand. Once upon a vid, you ruled the true crime wave. Subs in the millions, oh what a rave. But thin skin and sore toes led to your fall. Now you're scrolling comments, ignored by all. Peasant life calls with no royal decree. Just Botox bills and reality TV. Hey, Lauren, Lauren, pack up your crown. The kingdom's evicting, you're heading downtown. Toes still aching, tears on your sheets. But hey, next adventure, true crime on the street. From queen to the fields with the mud and the muck. Lauren, oh Lauren, next time, better luck. Apologize, Lauren, to victims of our...
All right. Good. How are you guys doing? This is a unusual occurrence for me to be live at this time of night. So, however, I'm trying to fit an entire life in with also Christmas celebration and keeping my YouTube channel running. So we'll do what we will power through. And I'm cuddled into a nice big fuzzy chair. Look how fuzzy. Ooh. So I'm all cuddled down. I got my blanket and I'm feeling all cozy. And we are going to watch some hidden true crime. Wait, make sure I still got you. We are going to watch some hidden true crime. And I'm going to give my opinion. I'm going to do a reaction video. And first, let me check in with everybody and see how you guys are all doing. Lil Red, Ott, good to see you. It even stops with Lauren. Bling, it's really great to see a fellow Texan. I'm so proud of how talented you are at creating this song, but this song drives me nuts. I'm sorry. It puts one of those like earworms, right? It stays in there with you. Yeah. Inga, welcome. It's good to see you. Debbie Arlick, good to see you. I'm so glad you made it for the live. Mally Cat, welcome. Great to see you. Doris, we meet again. And Doris has presents under her Christmas tree. So you're ahead of the game, Doris. Good for you. Ruth Ann, you were number one tonight. You the winner. So very nice. Okay. Oh, look, Lil Red's Texas too. Great. I love it. We Texas women, we got to stick it out together, don't we? Okay. So the first thing I want to start out with is this little clip. Hold on just a minute. And I felt like this clip was such a great reflection of how unaware I'm just going to say Lauren, because I have no idea of knowing if John knew about this, right? You don't know. But Lauren certainly did because she's the one that's talking, okay? But it's my opinion and I could be totally wrong. So I want you guys to weigh in, give your opinions. I want you to listen to this clip and then I want to know what y'all think of it. I know what my reaction to it, but I want to know what other people because I want to know getting if I'm getting too like critical, right? If I'm making I don't want to make a big deal out of things that are not a big deal. And to be fair, I don't feel like this is a deal, but I think it's a great example of how tone deaf that she is, the lack of awareness, right? So I want you guys to listen to it. And then after you listen to it, then I'm going to let you tell me your reaction. Yeah, Lawen in crime. True crime is true, Maria. Okay. All right, so let me play it again. I think it's a reflection of how tone deaf she is, how unaware she is. But let's see what y'all think.
Matthias. I'm a clinical and forensic psychologist. All told, in the last 25 years, I've probably done between 500 and 600 evaluations. Chad's vision was that there will be an apocalypse. The people that are righteous survive, and that there were 144,000 chosen ones who would be saved, and that they would ride out the storm until the New Jerusalem was established and carry on the work of God into eternity.
Wants to offer a gift or a donation to JG entirely in their memory. This, by the way, from our hidden gems. Everyone, and then to our hidden gems.
Now, this is the same memorial, JJ Vallows memorial, that we saw where she just bum rushes Kay. And Kay just looks at her like, really? It's just what she did was so weird with Kay, running up, putting her phone up in Kay's face. It was very inappropriate. This is the same event. The previous video that I told you about, I didn't show it, but I gave you the link to Everyday with Jay. She did this one as well. It would the fact that she would run up with the camera and she's giddy, like she's at a memorial for a small child who was murdered by his mother, and she's literally giddy, filming for her content on her $1 million channel. Okay, so listen to this now. It's just crazy.
Gems. Again, I just want to share this incredible community effort.
This is a community effort, guys. You hidden gems, you guys are just so great. Community effort. Nope, not a community effort. The memorial has zilcho to do with you, Lauren. This is about the savage brutality against a little boy. This is about someone's family. This isn't a community effort.
These flowers. So 144 roses, by the way.
And that there were 144,000 chosen ones who would be saved.
From our hidden gems.
She's like, you can hear her like almost laughing. 144 roses from my hidden gems. How do you guys accept this behavior? This is crazy. This is insanity. I'm sorry. It's insanity. If you're a healthy, normal person, taking a little boy who was, I don't even want to keep repeating it, but drawing a parallel between 144 roses and the 144,000 that Lori and Chad believed that they were king and queen of. What in the actual hell is your malfunction, Lauren? Like, it's unbelievable.
And then a beautiful framed flowers as well. Everything on the stage was donated by Hidden True Crime Gems, as well as Annie Elise with 10.
Everything on the stage was donated by the Hidden Gems and Annie Elise. Stop. This is just okay.
To Life YouTube channel.
My name is Dr. John Matthias. I'm a clinical and forensic psychologist. All told, in the last 25 years, I've probably done between 500 and 600 evaluations.
Okay. So let me hear now what you guys think about that. Hey, Hyper Pisces, good to see you. Kat? It's super weird that she went to the memorial in the first place, covering it like these are her friends. Yeah, yes, Debbie. Agreed. I don't think they know. I don't think they care, actually. I think this is in the midst of the money. This is in the midst of the money-making binge. Nearly $3 million, people. $3 million off of a YouTube channel and one dead little boy and one dead little girl. And this is what you get? She literally went to the memorial and used it for content on her channel. It's these little videos. It's when I see these types of things that I wonder to myself, is John Matthias like paying attention? Is he aware of these moments? No. And again, this is one of those things I wanted to see how you guys thought about it. If y'all thought it was fine and I'm the one that is looking at it wrong, then I want to know that. Hey, Joel, welcome. It's good to see you. By 1,000, not 300, yeah. If she wanted to pay respect, she would go and do it quietly. Yeah, it's so tone deaf to donate these flowers, but then make content at a baby's funeral. There hasn't been much difference between Lauren and Molly Golightly. Molly was just so overt that we couldn't help but face it. Did any other channels attend? Nate Eaton? I don't know, Dr. Calamity Jan. I don't know. I think he's whipped, if you know. I thought that, but I'm going to show you a different live here in a few minutes. John Matthias is part of this, in my opinion. He has lied to pad his resume. 600 evaluations, I call bullshit. You know, one of the reasons, Debbie, that I would agree with you about that, we document everything. Like when you're doing clinical work and such, you're documenting. I know exactly how many wastes, for example, I have given. I know how many MMPIs I've given. You document your work because there's nobody else to do that for you. So that is a part of your VITA. You show your evaluation hours, how many hours in assessment, the populations that you assess. Like my assessments are autism heavy because I spent probably 5 years that I worked 40 hours a week doing autism assessments, right? So these were big assessments. So you record it all and it goes on your VITA. It demonstrates your work product. So what do you mean you've done? I think the exact quote was, I've probably done 500 to 600 evaluations. That just doesn't ring true to me. I can quote exactly how many hours I have testing the type, how many for each type of test. Yeah, it's strange. It's weird. Lauren has no understanding of appropriate boundaries, felt their main motive was money. You had to be on his top Patreon to be in his book club. And what about when they were laughing, telling people that they were going to have to get a more expensive tier? Remember, so tone deaf. Yeah, sweet Melissa gets it. That was my thought, Melissa. My thought was, you're saying that you did the 144 roses and you're giddy, and you align that, you parallel that to the 144,000, and it just feels so shallow and out of touch. Like, just, are you paying attention, Lauren? It, and it's okay. Sometimes we do lose our way, and sometimes we aren't paying attention to the details. But for God's sake, when your husband notice these things, when your husband stop and say, Lauren, I'm not sure we want to draw a parallel to the very thing that was the catalyst to killing JJ and Tylee and Charles, right? You wouldn't want to. So weird. I thought it was so cringy. The other thing that I thought was horribly awful about it is taking credit for the flowers. I thought it was really gross that she said all of it donated by the hidden gems. Oh, and Annie Elise. What, I've never seen anybody take credit for sending flowers. You do that when someone passes away as a way to like share comfort, right? You do that as a way to show that you're sorrowful for what the family is experiencing. Lauren, for you to take credit for the flowers, it's very bad form, girl. I don't know what's wrong with you. But it's pretty awful. I didn't know about the 144 roses because I didn't watch the memorial. I felt like it was weird to watch. Same, exactly the same. We may talk about these crimes when they happen, because they're extraordinary, because there's an element of mystery, because people are trying to figure out what happened, right? But when you start inserting yourself into the victims' families and friends, you've gone off the rails. That is the role, or at the best, you say thank you, hidden gems. Completely agree, right? But let me ask you this, isn't that Kay Woodcock's role to thank the people that donated the flowers? That would not be Cresh's. I'm not Cresh's, sorry. That would not be Lauren's role to be thanking anyone at the well, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, if you just have to say something about it, then you thank the hidden gems for their donations, right? And their kind, loving thoughts. But even in that context, if you send flowers, if you make donations, generally the family sends out a thank you. So, yeah, just as a wrap up, after the event, not before. 100%, Dr. Calamity. I agree with you. Yeah. You should put your thank you afterwards in a community post. Thank you, Cat Baloo. There's a line between a community showing support and journalists covering a story. It seemed like there was a lot of reporters that were crossing the line, but HTC was the most egregious. In bouncing, yes, just another human. Thank you. You said it so well. Lauren was bouncing around the memorial of a kid like an excited reporter on New Year's Eve. So crazy. It was so crazy. So crazy. So thank you, though. Yeah. just terrible. And aligning 144 roses with the catalyst for why this baby lost his life, Lauren, you're not paying attention at all. You're not. It was completely inappropriate. You send the flowers and leave it alone. Her live at the memorial appeared to be a kind of ribbon with a big bow to tie the package up and make it look like, I don't want to say pretty, but tied it all up to bring it together. Just another human. The 144 roses were a reflection of the 144,000. Just another human gets it. Yeah, absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable that anyone would think that that was appropriate symbology on any level. It's terrible. No, it wasn't 144,000 roses. It was 144 roses. And she giggles and laughs. And it's symbolic of the 144,000. Very sick, DB. Yes, always. Okay. It's petty, but I can't get over that she's chewing gum. Thanks for covering this. Her glee is unsettling. The glee is very disturbing. The giddiness, the acting like she's covering New Year's Eve, watching the ball drop in New York City. So bizarre. She is completely out of touch. And Cat Blue is 100% right on. They had a huge celebration when they got to 144,000 subscribers. It's like, wait a minute, Lauren. People died because of this madness. People died. Lori Vallow thought she was going to be queen of the 144,000. What don't you get, Lauren? And you live with a mental health expert. What's missing over there? I don't disagree, Melissa, about needing to get off of YouTube. I don't disagree with that at all. Hey, Sketty Nona. Good to see you, my friend. She's a perpetual 13-year-old arrested development, a grandiose narcissistic one at that, of my opinion, and now 3 million later just makes me ill. That 3 million, they are, she's going to be hungry for that kind of money again. You know what I mean? It's going to be really hard for them to give up that monthly income. It's going to be really hard for them. So I think the next victims will be the family of Nick Reiner, Rob Reiner and his wife. They will be the new targets. They will be the new targets for this woman, for her cash cow, right? So this video, is this one? I got the wrong one up. I got the wrong one up. Never mind, I got the wrong one up. That's good though, because it lets me show the channel that I wanted to show anyway. All right. So the reason that I think this is the next cash cow, not live videos. She's putting up only edited videos now. Look at her videos that she's put up. She had, you know, a wide variety of stories pretty much. And then boom, she hits on Nick Reiner 4 days ago. 4 days ago, and now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos in 4 days. New cash cow. New cash cow. I feel really sorry for these people. Okay, now the good doctor weighs in on the Nick Reiner debacle. Okay. Yep, there it is. The the good doctor weighs in on the Nick Reiner debacle. And here they are in all their glory. Look how interesting that is. It's very interesting, isn't it? His face never moves. I don't think they will ever see that kind of money again. People are aware now. It won't really be a cash cow, though, because they can't get super chats. The subs can be healthy-minded. They tried to grab onto the Rob Reiner story, but Dr. Joan knows less about it than I found with 5 minutes of Googling. Yeah, I thought his so-called analysis was lacking severely. So zero insights. He kind of panders, really, right? He just kind of babbles a little bit. But let me go ahead and get into this. So what I found interesting more than their reaction to the Nick Reiner story or their potential insights, I found their body language so much more interesting than what they think about the Nick Reiner story. First of all, we're kind of being kind of theatrical, right? Their dress, their appearance is a bit theatrical. For some reason, John has settled on this black zip up. It seems like he's wearing it every time he goes live now. I don't know if he thinks it makes him look skinny, or I don't know. Maybe it makes him feel secure because it's kind of tight. I don't know. But whatever. He has now adopted kind of a uniform from which to do his expert analysis. And she is morphing into a young Barbara Streisand, which I think is very interesting. But let's take a listen and see where to take this, okay? Again, I'm much more interested in the body language than what they actually had to say.
Christmas tree behind us.
A Christmas tree behind you? Where? Huh? What? Christmas tree? I don't see it.
We have questions.
Hey, Lauren, so do we, the collective public. We have a lot of questions. Now, the first thing that I noticed, for some reason, the good doctor is no longer looking at Lauren. He doesn't make eye contact with her very, very often. What's that about? Is he angry with her for the machinations, the manipulations? Is he upset with she and Grayson? Hard to know, but just watch him for a few minutes and watch how he keeps himself kind of insulated from Lauren.
This Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer Reiner tragedy has had us talking actually here at our kitchen table a lot. And of course, I have been reporting on it. And now we're hoping that you, Dr. John Matthias, a criminal.
Dr. John Matthias, criminal psychologist. Doctor. Why do you do that? He's your husband. Why not just say, hey, me and John are here to talk about Nick Reiner? Why? Because every time you do that, introduce him as a working psychologist, his ethics code is in play.
Psychologist will help us understand what we know right now, which isn't a lot. There's going to be a lot coming out. We're going to continue following this case.
What did y'all think about that long stare? Watch how long he stares at her.
Tragedy has had us talking actually here at our kitchen table a lot. And of course, I have been reporting on it. And now we're hoping that you, Dr. John Matthias, a criminal psychologist, will help us understand what we know right now, which isn't a lot. There's going to be a lot coming out. We're going to continue following this case.
I bet you are. You looking at some money, aren't you, girlfriend?
But I think part of this for me, the saddest part of this is that it's a family tragedy through and through.
The sad part, are you sad really? Sad the same way that you donated 144 roses to JJ after what his mother did? I don't know if that's sad or if that's pandering. That has always been my question when I was watching their channel. She's always saying thank you, and my husband, Dr. John, never really offering any contrary opinion. Is he a criminal psychologist or a criminal psychologist? Technically, according to the law, he is a licensed psychologist who is practicing criminal. That's the proper semantics. How the heck am I supposed to pay for that new face after you screw up, Lord? The only reason people started watching was because of Dr. John thinking he was an expert. Totally agree. And that video's got something like 130,000 views. Who can she attach herself to in this new family? I would be very worried about the daughter. I would be very worried about the young daughter because she's got a boyfriend. She's so close to her mom and dad that she lived across the street from them, and now they're gone. So, yeah, I think she's probably ripe for the pickings for old Lauren. All right, let's keep on going. Remember, this is about body language, okay?
Not only have they lost both their parents, the children of Rob and Michelle.
Oh, and by the way, for the Reiner kids, the two surviving Reiner kids, let me give you a fair warning up front, okay? Lauren Matthias now owns the photographs of your family. If she shows it on her channel, she will sue you, claiming that those photos are hers, that she took those photos. They belong to her. They're no longer yours, free to use as you will. So go ahead and get those powerful entertainment attorneys fired up and going because you're going to need them.
Well, they've lost their brother, who is now.
Okay, I can't listen to her. This is ridiculous. There we go. That's better.
We're talking about this case in a broad fashion in terms of talking about parricide and some of the research on parricide. So
if he says the word parricide once, he says it 50,000 times. You're going to get tired of listening to it. Parricide, 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 parricide.
For those who don't know, for those who have never been with us before, parricide is when children or a child murder a parent or parent.
Guess what, John? Everyone in true crime knows what parricide is. Everyone.
So a single parricide is the murder of one parent, a double parricide, which is much more uncommon. And that's what this case is. A double parricide is when a child murders both parents.
Now, I know you guys couldn't have figured that out on your own. A single parricide is when one parent is murdered. A double parricide is when two parents are murdered. I ask you, who was struggling with that? Anybody here? Yeah, I also think that the parasite thing, it sounds too much like parasites. Yeah.
So if you murder the mother, that's called matricide. If you murder
Oh my
the
God,
father,
John.
Hamlet is a story of parricide to a large degree.
Yeah, but Brad Pitt wasn't in Hamlet. So why are you talking about it?
And so is The Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky. So Hamlet's by Shakespeare. And I think the reason why authors of that magnitude that have had such a huge impact on Western literature talk about parricide is because it's so taboo.
Yeah.
And it's so uncommon. And I think
You are not paying attention to the news, John. Kids are killing their parents all over the place now. In our modern world, things are looking very dark and very scary within families. You have parents killing their children, you have children killing their parents. I don't know what you're paying attention to, Dr. John.
produced, and Michelle, they produced and directed so many memorable movies that have had such an impact on our culture that I think when this type of crime occurs to people like this, then of course I think it's going to grip the imagination of this country and probably people all over the world.
And you know that they were salivating over this story. You know, they got so excited and so happy that a heinous murder happened of not one Hollywood mogul, but his wife. They're thrilled by this. This is another Johnny Depp for them. This is going to be another J.J. Vallow. This story is, when it's all said and done, is going to make the story of Lori Daybell and Chad Daybell, it's going to make it look like small beans. Man, they're excited. Make no mistake about it. They dressed up in their finest. John had to put his sexy, tight black workout jacket on because he's busy, bumping the terzepatide, losing that weight. She's gussying herself up to look like a young, Barbara Streisand. They're gearing up to make that money. So it's round 2. Ding, ding, ding. Johnny Depp, here we go, baby. Raking in that cash.
Yeah.
And so, but I do want to point out that there's a precedent for this in terms of great literature. The Oedipus saga, for example, by Sophocles, is like, according to Sigmund Freud, who's responsible for my field for...
No. Shut up. Sigmund Freud became a cocaine addict and burned his brain up and came out with some of the craziest theories. Before that, he was brilliant. But the stuff coming later was terrible. And now we know a lot of things about him and his son. And I don't care to say he built my career. Don't do that. Be descriptive and factual in what you look up to. If you want to brag about somebody, brag about, Anna Freud or Carl. There's any number of people. But this is so weird. Him going to these books and stuff like this.
For the origins of my field, that Oedipus saga really has left a lasting impact on our culture and even the modern imagination to a large degree. And I won't have time to get into all that. I could spend a couple of shows talking about that, but my point is that it's not new, and it's I think so. There's a sense in which this murder in this context, in this day and age, has a deep resonance that goes back to thousands of years into Greek culture and Greek history.
Yeah, and you're just babbling. You're not talking about Nick Reiner. You're not talking about the lead up to Nick Reiner. You're not talking about the severe mental illness of schizophrenia. You're babbling.
But I think there's this other part of this tacit social contract or agreement. The children, they won't give back to their parents in the same way. They won't meet those sacrifices. But I think there's some tacit agreement that children should or will respect and care for their parents to some degree.
Yeah, I think a lot of parents
And so
feel that way, and children, right?
So if you think about parenting and you think about parasite, it's really parenting in some ways is a version of the golden rule. That to doing unto others as they would do unto you, right? In
Yeah.
the sense, but amplified.
Mhm.
You know, if you're kind to your kids, in theory, they should be kind back to you.
Yeah. Golden
And
rule.
right, exactly. And so
Is that the golden rule, or is that a very unhealthy social contract? You treat other people well, you treat people nice because it's the right thing to do, but that's where it ends. You don't treat somebody nice and then tell yourself, okay, because I've been nice to them, now they have to be nice to me. That is a big contributor to mental health issues. You that builds a lot of cognitive distortions. No, it is your responsibility to raise your children. It is your responsibility to be kind to them, to treat them with love and gentleness, to provide for them. That is your responsibility. But their choices in their life belong with them. And if they choose to take care of you in your old age, then great for everybody. But maybe they can't. Maybe they're living their life and they don't have the ability to come and cook you breakfast and lunch and feed you dinner and bathe you and put you in bed. They may not be able to do that. So this exchange here was not terribly bothersome, but it seems a little misplaced because we know what thought disorders are. We understand what cognitive distortions are. And it is categorically unfair to make your relationships and your life transactional, Lauren. Transactional relationships serve as a foundation for a lot of personality problems, a lot of depression, anxiety issues. Again, you treat people with love and respect, it's the right thing to do. But if somehow they are not able to do that in return, you don't have a leg to stand on to complain. If for whatever reason, for example, let's say you raise a great kid, you work hard, you give them everything they need, you get them educated, you fulfill your role as parent, correct? And then your child gets educated and becomes a great, let's say, a United States senator, and they have to be up in Washington, D.C., and their life is very big and it's very complicated. And then you are diagnosed with dementia. What? They walk away from their career? They walk away from their career, move back to the little hometown, and then spend 20 years being nursemaid and caretaker? Absolutely not. That would be unfair to do to a person. It wouldn't be right. You had your chance, you lived your life. That our kids have the right to live their lives. And I gave an example just now that was very, very extreme, right? On purpose, because it highlights what I'm saying. Most families where it's healthy and they love each other and they take care of each other, everybody pitches in together to take care of the elderly or even to take care of the children. And that is what you would hope from a family unit. But in certain circumstances, perhaps the needs of the child may outweigh the needs of the parent. And in that case, we don't really have the right to send those kids on guilt trips, manipulate them, try to take a part of their life from them. We don't have that right to do that. We brought them into the world. We have a responsibility to them. And, Hopefully these things don't happen, but if they do, as the parent, be willing to say, live your life, do what you need to do, we will be fine, right?
Parenting is a version of the golden rule. I think that when I talk about kind of this implicit social contract, I'm really talking about that. That I think it's a simple idea that if you're kind to your kids and you're loving to your kids, you make a lot of sacrifices, then presumably your kids should be kind human beings that give back to you as a parent.
Correct.
In theory, right? It doesn't always work that way. And I think
It sounds easy.
it sounds easy, right? It's easy in theory, but not practice. I don't know. You can be really kind to kids, and sometimes they won't be kind back, right? So,
Weird how that happens sometimes.
yeah,
yeah, like Rob Reiner, right? Because we know now that the Reiners were incredibly giving to Nick. They did everything in their power to help Nick. And the reality is he was a wreck. He started using drugs at an early age, a very bad indicator, and his drug use flourished, and he was highly oppositional and resistant to any intervention. And ultimately, it would seem, perhaps, maybe, that the use of methamphetamine, maybe even doing 8 balls with heroin and cocaine, that it eventually gave him drug-induced type of psychosis. Now, they're claiming he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. It could have been drug-induced psychosis. They did say that the psychiatrist, the medications that they were trying seemed to exacerbate his symptoms, which I think is very telling. But for whatever the reason, whatever happened to Nick, whether it's an organic mental illness like schizophrenia or it's a drug-induced psychosis, you could not have found 2 parents more giving and more available to their children. All of them. 2 of their kids turned out great. Nick ran into some problems along the way. Could have been something as simple as Nick just got involved in like the wrong crowd and started using drugs at an early age. It disrupted the maturation of his brain, and now he lives with mental illness. But I was a little bit taken back, small amount, by this topic of the expected or implied social contract. It's super unhealthy. We can't turn our relationships into a transaction where you say, if I scratch my back, you'll scratch yours, and that'll keep me safe. That will lead you to frustrations, damaged friendships and family relationships. It can lead to depression and anxiety. It's a thought disorder to think that way. The relationships in your life should be authentic. That's simple. Not what you can get out of other people. So the fact that these 2 were speaking about a transactional relationship between children and parents, and they're smiling and laughing about even, I thought that's really quite telling, given the fact that everything we have seen them do on YouTube, they have set up these transactional relationships. They've been exploitive to others, to crime victims' families. So it's really hard to diagnose someone with a mental disorder when they're using drugs, and he has admitted he has barely been clean. Yeah, I mean, Dominique, psychosis is psychosis, right? If you're having visual hallucinations, auditory hallucinations, tactile, you're having big delusional type of thought, what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? That is a problem. In the beginning, when you're dealing with these types of mental illness, In the beginning, what you're just trying to do is you're just trying to stabilize. You're just trying whatever's creating it, whether it's schizophrenia, whether it's some other type of, psychotic event. You're just trying to stabilize. With time in a controlled setting, like a drug rehab center, you should begin to see people normalizing, and the medications that they initially start is usually really effective for schizophrenia. So the fact that they're saying that it exacerbated his symptoms, he got worse, it's very interesting. It is very interesting. They can diagnose psychosis, but not an actual diagnosis. Is getting out, not approaching relation. Whoops. Boss lady. Jod is getting at not approaching relationships as transactional and not expecting anything in return. You do it because you love them. Not as easy as it always sounds. Yeah, totally agree. And I think it is, I think it's one of the bigger challenges for parents, people that have been good parents, right? They love their kids. They've been there, committed to their kids. I think it's hard for them when their children make that transition into adulthood, right? When our kids are little, we're devoted parents, we love them so much, and then they make the transition into adulthood. Suddenly, we are no longer the center of their lives, right? The center of their lives changes a little bit. It might change to career, or their focus might change to their spouse and their own young family. And so parents often really struggle to adapt to that. They're so used to making the kids the focus of their world that they don't really know how to be on the periphery of their child's world, the adult child. I hear a little bit of that with John and Lauren, kind of laughing about this transactional, imaginary transactional experience they are going to have with their own son. If you're a good parent, your kid is going to take care of you and be a good kid, right? Well, if John is saying to Lauren, you stay at Grayson's apartment, you don't need to be around your son. Your actions, the things you're doing right now, are not healthy for our son. I want him to have peace and not be around you. How's that going to play out in 15, 20, 30 years? So, the smiling, the laughing, the kind of discomfort, it's kind of interesting, right? But I think the bigger takeaway from this, 100% what I'm saying, our relationships, if we want them to be healthy, if we want to enjoy the people in our lives and lead a happy, fulfilling life, please try to be aware of the thoughts that lead you to that place, that somehow you're buying loyalty from another person, even if it's your own children. You're not buying it. You're doing something because you love someone and you want to show that affection. Whether or not it comes back to you one day is not an issue. That is 100% the choice of the other person. That's all I'm saying. Okay? He took their son on holiday and left Lauren at Grayson's. I know. Yeah. So this was a bit curious, a little bit of discomfort. And now look at her far away, happy gaze. It just doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like her face is attached to the rest of her body. It seems like she's being an actress and playing. Her demeanor is quite different. She usually is pretty dismissive of him. When he starts talking, you can see her eyes wandering around the room. She kind of leans away from him. But this is different. She's turned towards him. She's boy, drilling her eyes into him with adoring gaze. It's pretty strange change for a woman who the last we saw her was having a nervous breakdown in tie-dyed pajamas trying to get an innocent person in prison for 5 to 50 years. Again, is it performative? I don't know. You tell me.
And so that's why it like a lot of the cases we talk about are either filicide, which is a parent murdering a child, or to a lesser extent, parricide, which is a child murdering a parent. And so you have a fundamental violation of that implicit contract or agreement between a parent and a child and a parent. Both of those. So those are flip sides of the same coin. Those are different sides of the same coin. Both of those clearly disrupt the golden rule to a large degree. And not only there's something about the golden rule, by the way, that these social agreements are what keep relationships intact.
What? What are you talking about, John? Okay, people. The golden rule, we can assume, is do unto others as they do to you, or as you would like them to do, correct? Is it your opinion, all of you guys in the chat, do you believe that your relationships depend on the golden rule? Oh my God, Colleen, that is the best description. It's Groundhog Day. Here we go again. Yeah, make it stop. Yeah. So fake. She has no idea how to be genuine. Do you see the color of his skin change? Yeah, I do. Must have gone to the islands. I didn't have contracts with my parents. I understand what he's trying to say, but it sounds stupid. John Locke deserves better. Oh my God. Thank you so much. Yes, he does. Okay, so no, I don't feel like my relationships are dependent on the golden rule. My relationships are in place because I like these people. I like them. And I can only assume they like me. I'm not running around trying to ingratiate myself. What do you guys think? Relationships do not have rules. We have choice and we have agency. 100% Pontoon. Hey, Crystal, with officially the longest name on YouTube. I would like Lauren to explain the golden rule with regard to victims. Oh, you are asking for too much, Crystal. Sorry to tell you. I just say be kind and spread kindness. That's it, Colleen. The people in your life, the people you spend time with, whether they're friends, whether they're family members, whether they're people on YouTube, you do it because you enjoy them, right? That's why. And you hope that they enjoy you as well. But are you ingratiating yourself? Because that's what he's implying. He's saying relationships depend on the golden rule, meaning, okay, well, I need to do something nice for them and then they'll do something nice for me. That's just manipulative, John. That's behavioral psychology. I'm having a hard time understanding this idea. I mean, okay, let me say it this way. To say that relationships depend on the golden rule, that certainly describes Lauren and her view of covering true crime, doesn't it? That she finds these peripheral family members, victims of horrible crime, and then she starts to befriend them. If you agree with me, put a 1. Then she starts to befriend them. Why is she befriending them? Because she likes them? No, she's befriending them because she is expecting if I'm their friend, then they will be happy to give me content for my channel and I can make money. She's literally capitalizing on murder. She says the best way for me to make money is to make friends with someone who's had a heinous murder in their family, and then they will have to be nice to me and let me cover the story and tell their secret private moments. She took it even further when she started saying things like, I know how Charles Vallow felt. I know what Tylee went through. When she started that was the ultimate, wasn't it? Or invoking the name of Colby Ryan. That she went so far with this transactional type of mindset, this golden rule type mindset, that she told herself, okay, I treated them nice. I made friends with these victims. Now they are indebted to get me out of hot water. So if I invoke the name of Kay Woodcock, that saves me from everybody's judgment. If I say that Colby Ryan likes me, then that says to everybody else, stop talking because this victim has endorsed Lauren. They're operating on an endorsement type of relationship. I'm going to scratch your back. You're going to scratch my back. You know who else does this? The mob, the Italian mob. They do this indebtedness thing. So, John, Matthias, take an issue right up front. No, relationships absolutely do not rely on the golden rule. They do not. Relationships, if they are authentic, they exist because human beings bond together. That's why they happen. A healthy, authentic relationship, John, doesn't say, okay, well, if I cook breakfast for you, then you have to cook dinner for me. It's not the way it works, John. I mean, maybe it's like that in your relationship. Maybe that's the view that you and Lauren have of the world. It absolutely perfectly describes Lauren's justification for befriending victims of murder. She feels like she was perfectly entitled to invade the life of Kay and Larry Woodcock. And that she then said their names, invoked their names as a way to get out of hot water. She thought she was insulated because Kay Woodcock was her friend. Lauren, I don't think you have any friends. I don't think you have any friends. I think you're literally judging the world by what you can get from them. And that's why you really should not be doing true crime, because when you start messing with victims, you're taking a big chance that someone is going to react badly to that type of relationship. John, if I protect and defend Lauren 100%, then she will protect and defend me 100%. I'm starting to see how this is very important. Wow, Braunforth. Interesting. Yes. It explains why they are where they are. When she was shunned from rooms that she belonged in and no one was talking to her, she thought there must be someone coming after her. Yeah, very interesting. I believe Lauren has no personality of her own, so she meets women and befriends them because she envies something about them. but her self-esteem makes her jealous, and now they are going to pay the price. I don't know that I don't think they're going to pay the price, Colleen. I think people are blind. I don't believe Lauren has any friends. She doesn't even know who she is. Yeah, I've never seen anybody change their appearance so often and so dramatically. It really.
And I don't mean just legally. I mean that if parents and children fundamentally were at war all the time, our communities and our society would collapse. Right. And so I think that's one of the reasons why filicide and parasite are so interesting to our channel and to our analyses of so many cases. And that's why we pick them up so often, is because
you pick them up so often because they're extraordinary, and that's the fastest way to the American dollar. If you were so interested in understanding and helping people, you would be in practice.
Although I haven't talked about it in these terms, that they are essentially a disruption of that social contract, of that implicit social contract between parents and children. And that relationship, by the way, and also the relationship between two adults, between two partners in particular.
Yeah, watch this. So watch when John takes that little tangent to talking about two partners. Watch Lauren's body language change.
I think that's one of the reasons why filicide and parasite are so interesting to our channel and to our analyses of so many cases. And that's why we pick them up so often, is because, although I haven't talked about it in these terms, that they are essentially a disruption of that social contract, of that implicit social contract between parents and children. And that relationship, by the way, and also the relationship between two adults, between two partners in particular.
What changed with her body language? Yeah, she crossed her arms in a protective manner, closed her eyes as a brief little vacation. She's trying to prepare herself because she doesn't really know what he's about to say, right? I think there's trouble in paradise. Marky is big enough to make a difference. I didn't see that before. Yeah, she's preparing herself. I think there's trouble in paradise, really. But let's see where this takes us. But watch her. That's very interesting.
Intimate relationship between two partners.
She's fawning, isn't she? Smiling at him, the adoring gaze, when you all know what we were looking at just 10 days ago. It was a shit show. It was going off the rails. And she was the catalyst. She made the dumb decisions. She was the one getting drunk and calling the police. She was the one lying. But he followed up. He said, let's put this girl in jail. Okay, he's not off the hook. But I can certainly imagine the possibility that he's very angry that she and Grayson have made such a mess of things. If you agree with that, put a 1. If you disagree with me about that, put a 2. I'm interested.
Is where the family unit begins. And so the domestic violence or intimate partner violence and filicide and parasite are all versions are all very
Shut up, Lauren. You have no idea what the man's talking about.
variations on a theme in terms of disrupting that fundamental agreement about how you should treat people.
Yeah.
And being kind to people and being loving and showing some measure of unconditional love and support for someone else.
So I'm curious about that, John. What about Christina? Like, where all your big talk, all your fancy psychology talk about showing love, unconditional positive regard, treating others with kindness. Where's that? Like, do you extend that to Christina? You wanted to put this woman in prison 5 to 50 years. You had to see how many counts you could come up with to see how long you could put her away, right? The only reason you wanted to put her in jail, John, is you wanted to use her for intimidation of others. And what we now know, because of the police body cam, is that your wife accused at least 3 people. And you know what that says, John? That tells me Lauren has no idea how these personal, private information got out. She doesn't know. She's guessing, John. It's a shot in the dark. And that means the fact that you wanted to put this girl in prison, possibly for the rest of her life, based on the whim of a hysterical woman. I don't care if she's your wife or not. What does that say for you, John? What about all this unconditional positive regard, gonna be nice, show kindness, love, authenticity, John, facts, truth? Does that factor in anywhere? I tell you what, if I was on a case, I wouldn't want you within 100 yards of evaluating one of my prisoners, because I'm not exactly sure what motivates you. I don't know if you're on a quest for truth, if you're trying to enter into a transactional relationship with the jailer so you can get something from them, so you're giving something to them. I don't know who you are. I don't know if you're taking money under the table from the prosecutor or the defense. I don't know who you are. This is craziness. This conversation is really disturbing. Christina was not even in the country when your wife and Grayson called the police for an escort to their car. They didn't even get it for an escort. The cop just pulled up. They were standing on the side of the road waiting on him. She's not even, how can she be stalking your wife when she is out of the country? How? See, that's another takeaway from all of the collective evidence, John, from the people that are actually in search of truth, reality. One of our big takeaways is this: you guys had no idea how the information got out. I got a pretty good idea, and it's nothing that either one of you have suggested. But Lauren is panicked. Lauren was hysterical, and she was trying to use all of these relationships that she had cultivated to save her ass from her own bad behavior, John. One potential plan to do that was to blame Christina. There were plenty of other people that got blamed. There were plenty of people that Lauren actually stalked and tried to get them to react so she could call the cops on them, and they didn't. Good for them. You jumped right in with both feet. Oh, 5 to 50 years, we can get her, depending on how many counts. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? So when you guys sit around and you say how it's just not fair because you have these bullies, don't mistake authentic opinion, authentic reaction with someone bullying you. Those are completely different things. It is disturbing that you guys targeted people to harm. And for what reason? Because Lauren did, in fact, say those things. Lauren accurately did those things. And she was in a panic because she didn't want people to know who she actually is. And she was willing to send people to prison. Didn't matter if they were guilty of anything. And I don't know, frankly, John Matthias, I don't know how you did. I don't know how this is even, how you even tolerate this. It's just so bad.
That's where it begins. And so domestic violence, filicide, parricide, they're all tied together and they all violate that fundamental assumption. And if those fundamental assumptions are violated, then obviously there's a ripple effect from that. I had a literature professor, I never forgot this, who talked a lot about, I forget the novel he was discussing now. I think it was E.M. Forster, but he used to say that all politics are relational and all politics begin with two people in a relationship, oftentimes an intimate relationship, and how they negotiate that, how they negotiate intimacy, how they negotiate difference, how they tolerate difference, how they tolerate each other. And he would say, and this was years ago, this is when I was an undergraduate, he would say, how much hope is there for the world if two human beings in friendship or in intimate relationships can't make that work? What if
What is he talking about? That any two random people should have the ability to make that relationship work? Is that what he's saying? Is that real? Is that even biologically accurate? I can categorically tell you it is not. And here's the reason. I don't know how many of you know horses, right? But believe it or not, horses are they live in highly social groups, right? If in the natural environment, they live in highly social groups. Look, the reality is you can have two horses that instantly, they just dislike each other. They just hate each other and for no reason. And they'll kick and fight and attack and bite. And then they learn to stay away from each other and they keep the rest of the herd in between them and they just try to make sure they stay away from one another. To say that all two people have to be able to figure out how to get along that's a little shocking from somebody with a psychology degree. People are different, John, and there will be some people that naturally gravitate toward one another and seem to get along effortlessly. And then there will be other relationships that are very difficult. However, they have utility. Perhaps they are transactional, and therefore you cannot discard them. But they can really, 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 really make you uncomfortable. For example, you guys think about work. Any of you guys ever had somebody at work, a coworker, and they are just difficult, right? And I agree, this is about them. Yes, it's just another human. He is talking about them, their relationship, in my opinion. That's what I think. Retha says, yep. Colleen says, of course. Yeah, this is another reason why I think that there's trouble in paradise. They are very formal with each other. Her whole body language has changed. And there seems to be an undercurrent of a different conversation happening. It is very interesting to watch.
Two adults can't negotiate their differences, right, and their similarities. And what if they can't make that work, then what hope is there for the world? What hope is there to extend that to groups and to other people, to friends, to strangers?
You wanted to put Christina in prison, John. So all of this nonsense that you're talking about right now falls on my deaf ears.
Right? What hope is there if we can't do that simple thing? If I can't connect to you right now, right here.
And what's wrong with her? Is she drunk? Why is she looking at him like that? She's got this far away, googly eye, Twitter pated kind of adoring gaze. What's she trying to do? She's trying to get back in the house. She's still living with Grayson and wants to move back in with Hubs. This is so weird, y'all. So weird.
Now.
Oh my God. What was that? I'm reading the chat because I want to know what someone smarter than me, how you explain this. What was that laughter? She's scared. She doesn't know how this is being perceived. Is he trying to justify connecting with criminals for his work? Xanax, Lauren? Micro blue. So weird, right? She looks weird. She looks weird to me, but I've not seen her for ages. Maybe another facelift together with a bunch of selective tweakment. The eyebrows happened overnight. Like one day she had the big tall arches, right? The next day, this. Weird. It's so weird looking. Yeah, I don't know how she changes herself so quickly. If I can't make my marriage work, I'm a failure. She is yeah, I'm going to totally agree. Overcompensating. Botox, they can do that. So you think they relaxed those eyebrows? She's had a boatload of facial work. I'm thinking she has Xanax on board. Maybe a lot of it, possibly. I have to disagree. He was the one telling her on the We Respond video that Christina wanted her dead or ruined. He's as bad as she is. He's supposed to know better. Blue Jay, well said. You're exactly 100% right. What is this weird laughing? Like, what is this weird? It's just so damn weird. It's just weird. It's crazy. Okay, Jugler man, let me tell you, I studied that. I looked at that really hard and I said, okay, wait a minute. These eyebrows are on her brow bone. The arches are like way up high off the brow bone. I think she's been shaving her eyebrows and drawing them on. Thank you for saying that, Juggle man. I didn't want to say that like on my own because I thought, well, maybe I'm just being kind of weird, right? But if someone else sees it, maybe. I think she was drawing them on. I think she was shaving her eyebrows and drawing them on. Yeah, just like the theater. That's exactly right. Yep. Yeah, her eyebrows were, boy, they were off the chain, weren't they? That is wild. And she is pretty. Please don't get me wrong. She's a pretty woman.
Was that a challenge?
No, I'm just saying, no, it's not a challenge. I'm just saying that we are connecting. We are connecting. I'm not saying we're not. I'm saying
What are
that
you
the
talking about, John?
basis of all this and all our work and a lot of crime and this contract, the social contract, it begins here.
What?
And it begins.
What? What did he say? What? What? I'm blown away. He literally, yes, human. What? The basis for all the true crime starts here? Oh, Mabel Dragon, it's so whoa. It's so crazy. I don't even know what to say. Listen again. This is incredible. Like, John, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, what the hell are you talking about here? Now they start this weird giggling, laughing. They're talking about murder victims, for God's sake, parents being slaughtered by their own child. Look at that laughter. Look at that laughter. It's so misplaced. But listen to what he says. It makes no sense.
No, it's not a challenge. I'm just saying that we are connecting. We are connecting. I'm not saying we're not. I'm saying that the basis of all this and all our work and a lot of crime and this contract, the social contract, it begins here.
You're a terrible person, John Matthias. You just admitted that you are manipulating all of the hidden gems. You just admitted it. You just said they have no utility, no worth, no use to you unless they're bringing money. And that it depends on you and Lauren to be a team approach to getting that money. Have you no shame, like sincerely, are you aware that you wanted to put an innocent woman in prison for 5 to 50 years? Do you know that? Are you really reconciled to that? You're disgusting. You're a bad, terrible person.
And it begins with our relationship and our child and our friendships and our community, right?
Which friendships? The exploitation of a crime victim's family? Is that the friendship to which you address? Those weren't friendships, John. You guys exploited them and hurt them. You hurt the family of Charles Ballow. What are you babbling about? Man, I'm telling y'all, they knew all along that they were doing this for the cash. They knew all along when they were making friendships with these victims, they didn't give a shit what those victims were experiencing. They didn't care. They want to be on Dateline. They want to have their Netflix documentary. They want their $1 million house. They're telling us that. They don't give a damn.
All stems from this implicit agreement of how partners should treat each other, how spouses should treat each other, how spouses should treat children, how children should treat their.
Stay at Grayson's. Our son does not need to be around you right now. Like that, John? Is that what you're talking about? Where your wife is in such crisis that you tell her to stay away from your child, and then you go ahead and take your child and go on vacation. Like that? Is that what you're talking about? You talk out of both sides of your mouth. You talk out of both sides of your mouth.
Their parents, right? All of this is connected. Right. So why is this so horrific? Because it's a massive violation and disruption of that fundamental agreement.
No, it's not. I don't know. No, it doesn't. It makes no sense. It's so nonsensical. Look, I don't know what kind of game is happening here, But here's the reality, okay? This this murder of Rob Reiner and his wife, it was less about some bullshit social contract, some I'm your parents, I'm going to treat you good, and therefore you have to treat me good. It's not some huge philosophical discussion, question. That's not what this is, you guys. You know what it is? It is called mental illness. Okay? That's not a philosophical issue. Mental illness is a biological issue. However, how will he speak on a biological issue of mental illness? How can he do that? He likes to pull his books out and have these philosophical conversations that are really self-serving and pompous. So he can't talk about simple biology, chemical disruption, right? Can't talk about it. So this is all just nonsense. This is just nonsensical. And frankly, I find it to be really disrespectful to the surviving siblings of Nick Reiner. I think the surviving kids of Rob Reiner and his wife, they don't deserve this bullshit. They knew, even the daughter knew, my brother Nick is mentally ill. He is very dangerous. Those were her first words to the police, y'all. First thing she said to the police, it's my brother, he's dangerous. They all knew he was dangerous. Rob Reiner at the party knew that he was dangerous. He said to his friend at the party, for the first time, I believe my son could hurt me. Their son, John, was in crisis from mental illness. And it had nothing to do with a violated social contract, you pompous jerk. It's not what it was about. You're just figuring you'll be able to exploit this, get some more cash if you keep the focus on this kind of lofty discussions of philosophy that are really just hot air.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
And I think
God,
this case, because the victims are so well known and they've had such an impact on our culture that it's more pronounced.
Yeah.
And
we're all watching this and beloved, kind, generous, empathic, right? All of those qualities that you would expect a parent to exhibit. Saying they don't believe in tough love, right?
Don't believe in tough love, child with addiction.
Having this child with addiction in their home, doing whatever they can to help him. Yeah.
Oh, look at our little placard. Let's make some money. Let's feature a product and make us some cash. It's disgusting. Really, sincerely, Lauren. And right here, okay, the orange sofa is at Grayson's house. It's at Grayson's house. So is she living with him or is she living with Grayson? I don't want to listen to her individually. I want to go back to them together.
Since we're talking about parasite, I want to talk about some of the research. I want to dig a little deeper into some of the research on parasite.
Who wants to hear other people's
called
work?
Parasite, a Forensic Approach. It's by Soraya Dantas et al. There's a number of other authors. It's from 2013, so it's reasonably, it's from 2014. It's reasonably current.
Wait, what'd you say? Excuse me, John. You said that it's current 2014? Are you aware that's more than 10 years old? What the hell are you talking about, John? What are you talking about? What are you I can't believe he said that. He is quoting research. Now he's aware. He's aware that he's being called out on using antiquated citations in these little, thought experiments, he called it. 2014 would not be considered contemporary, John, not unless it's a flagship work. So I don't know what you're talking about.
One of the things about parasite is because there's not a lot of cases of parasite, because it is rare, it's hard to really study it. It's hard to get enough of the sample size or enough data points to really make sense of it.
That makes sense.
The data points we have, though, are pretty consistent, and they have been consistent for many years.
Okay.
So I'm going to read some of their summaries, and we can think about how this.
Many years. They've been consistent for many years, but he's using a 15-year-old citation. Why are you doing that? If it's been consistent for many years, John, you should have research from 3 years ago. Why 15? Like, sincerely, why 15 years?
Applies to Nick Reiner, right?
Thank you. Dr. John's going to.
Oh, God,
Do
shut
this.
up. Jeez, I can't listen to her. I'm sorry, I can't. I can't listen to him spouting off other people's published works like he somehow is the research that created it. I can't. 15 years? No, I'm not going to listen to it. It's stupid. I'm not going to do that.
That is a question we have. We don't know much about his mental health yet, but
That is a question we have. Why are you the authority, Lauren? What are you talking about? We have this question. You're not an investigator. You're not a detective. You're not even an investigative journalist in this context. You know what you read from other journalists, just like me, just like everybody in the side chat. The way you speak with authority, the way you speak with ownership over these investigations, it may trick some people who are less sophisticated, but those of us that are awake and paying attention, it's just manipulation. You are a manipulator.
interesting.
Number 4, the pattern was that of one perpetrator and one victim. As I said, double parasite is very unusual. One perpetrator and one victim, predominantly a son committing parasite. In other words,
Fairly right.
Nick Reiner kind of fits the profile. Nick Reiner was 32, so he fits the profile of a young adult male, which is consistent. If an average age is 29, then he's well within the range of that average.
Wait, he's well within the range. I thought you said he was outside of that range. You said 29. He's 32. You said, oh, well, he's well within the range. What's your confidence interval? Like, how can you make that comment? You don't know. Is that right?
Continuing, over half the aggressions were committed using sharp instruments, such as a knife. That
Whoa.
was true here.
Wow.
Wow. Whoa.
Double parasite. It's by Wiseman at,
I don't want
I
to
believe,
listen.
some mental illness,
Yep.
right? Or antisocial behavior, or both.
Or both. And antisocial, again, meaning like a psychopath or a sociopath, right?
Well,
When you say antisocial?
yeah, I mean,
What? Huh. Psychopath and sociopaths are simply words. They are not a diagnosis.
let's think of it in terms of, so not necessarily the diagnosis,
Okay.
but antisocial behavior, meaning behavior that's clearly against typical norms and values, and right, it's
Yeah.
it's a disregard for normative social values
Yeah. Okay.
and rules, right? I mean, obviously murdering someone is
You know what, John? I would say that it is against the rules for an educated person to try and put some innocent person in prison for 5 to 50 years in an effort to try to stop that person from telling the truth. I think that is antisocial, John?
Is a disruption of legal, right, of any legal norms or expectations.
Yeah.
Legal norms, John, like not lying to an investigator, like that kind of legal norm that your wife and Grayson and you openly did, as evidenced by the police body cam. You guys lied to the cops time and time again. You tried to entice the cop to work with you to come up with some law that you could put Christina in prison. Are you describing yourself when you talk about psychopath or sociopath or antisocial? Because what you say in the moment, and it sounds good, you use all the buzzwords, and what we are seeing on the body cam are two different things. You don't act in real life the way you talk on your YouTube channel. I think that is highly manipulative and scary.
I'm going to continue here. Double parasite studies involve psychotic individuals harboring delusions or hallucinations about their parents that inevitably lead to the act, as well as individuals with an antisocial motive. This is interesting. In contrast, media reports dwell on a history of childhood abuse as the central ingredient leading to the crime.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Today,
Oh, shut up. What do you mean? That's really interesting. I don't understand why you think that's interesting. I happen to think it's incredibly interesting that you wanted to put a young woman into prison for decades just to keep your own skin safe. I think that's interesting. I think that's interesting that you befriend crime victims, people that have had their lives wiped out. You befriend them and then you expect them to give you something in return. I think that is shockingly interesting.
date, and again, this is 2002, but this has been consistent over the years, quote, to date, there's been no published data indicating that childhood abuse is an explanation for double parasite.
Oh, wow.
I can't listen to any more of that. Let me go forward to where I want to go. I think that's it right there.
Quote, the developmental themes posited to explain parasite, and we're talking about double parasite, the developmental themes, so obviously that's upbringing, right? Childhood stuff. The developmental themes posited to explain parasite include progressive deterioration in mental functioning, coupled with a hostile dependent relationship with a parent or parents.
Okay.
Let that sink in for a second.
What, you having trouble with that, John? Are you having trouble understanding what that means? You just said, before I moved forward, that there were no published studies talking about childhood abuse as being indicative for or causal for later murder of two parents, right? Now you just said that actually it is. That when the child and the parents have a history of angry oppositional relationship, that the chances of parenticide happening goes up. You don't know what you're talking about.
So this is speculation and we'll find out whether I could be wrong. That's where my mind goes. So this rage, drug-induced psychosis.
Right. So does Nick have a history of schizophrenia or
We don't know.
psychosis or severe mental illness. Who knows?
Why is she acting like that? Why is she bobbing her head, putting her hand out, acting like she's a part of the investigation? Stop performing. Quit being fake. That would help a lot. It'd probably give you some relief too.
It's hard to know, right? But consistent with the literature and the research, it's not difficult to imagine that meth, it seems like he was just based on, somebody said it, that based on his presentation at the party and his conversation at the party, that he seemed to be tweaking. I think that term was used. So that would imply.
So why are you laughing? Are you unfamiliar as a criminal psychologist for what tweaking means, what it looks like? Yes, the FBI put out a white paper several years ago that basically said, if you're around people that are using methamphetamine, you're at an increased risk of being murdered. It's the only drug that the FBI has actually linked to murder. Why is he acting surprised? It seems like that's what happened, right? It's not a great mystery. It's not about a broken social contract, John. It is about mental illness and the use of certain kinds of drugs that make people act out in bizarre and unusual ways.
Meth. That's not to say, and again, I don't know. That's speculation, right? I don't know for sure.
Right. There's contradicting things being said even about the party, the said party. Some people say there wasn't a fight, other people say there was, depending on the source.
I'm going to continue with a few thoughts here. So in this particular study, they did an in-depth analysis of 11 adult males who committed double parasite. And again, there's not a lot of data points here. So, but that's for this for double parasite, this happens to be a fairly large sample, believe it or not.
Okay.
Some of their findings here were consistent with the previous studies. There was a marked absence of childhood abuse. So again, no childhood abuse among this group that engaged in double parasite.
You're talking about a young man who started using heavy drugs at a very early age, who's recently been diagnosed with schizophrenia, and at the party appeared to be tweaking. John, it's not about, did Rob Reiner beat his child in any way, shape, form, or fashion? What are you doing here? You searching for topics for more intriguing content? What about just telling the truth? What about just like giving the facts as they are? What's wrong with that, I wonder?
There was also another thing they found was the lack of stable employment among the perpetrators, which again, that seems to apply to Nick.
It applies, John. It applies to Nick because he's living with schizophrenia or possibly a drug-induced psychosis. People with schizophrenia, with a psychotic disorder, John, they don't typically work. It's too overwhelming. Their brains can't manage all the moving parts, John. It's not causative. You're going through this like, what could have made him do that to Rob Reiner? Let's look. Childhood abuse, unemployment, the stresses of unemployment. Stop. This is so weird.
The absence of stable employment may have been a function of mental illness, substance abuse, or enmeshed family dynamics.
Huh.
So that's where we're going to go with this, right? Watch him again say this. Listen to the tone of his voice and where he really focuses.
there was a marked absence of childhood abuse. So again, no childhood abuse among this group that engaged in double parricide. There was also another thing they found was the lack of stable employment among the perpetrators, which again, that seems to apply to Nick. They say, quote, the absence of stable employment may have been a function of mental illness, substance abuse, or enmeshed family dynamics.
Huh.
It seems like you could.
Enmeshed family dynamics. So I think that's where they're going to land. I think that is going to be, as they, collect their millions off of the murder of Reiner and his wife. I think their focus is going to be on this unhealthy family dynamic of enmeshment. That old Nick could have been just fine. He could have been one hell of a guy had he not been enmeshed like the Adelson clan. I think that's going to be where they're going to take this. I'm going to reiterate. Yeah, Maria, my psychologist said that a lot of onset schizophrenia happens when children leave the house for college or something like that, along with other reasons, but that's a lot of the onset. It's biological. It is a function of age and the maturation of the brain. So is it true that prodromal schizophrenia set in around 15, 16, 17? Then full-blown psychosis will start around 18, 19, 20. Yes. And the ages are different for females than it is for males as well. Do those ages coincide with leaving the house to go off to college? Yes. But leaving to move out, get a job, or to go to college is not causal. It's not creating the schizophrenia. It's an anecdotal, it's an artifact. It is, yes, these two things happen, but one happened as a function of maturation. You turn 18 years old, you graduate high school, and you either go to work or go to college. So it may look like there is a correlation there. The correlation is not to leaving home. The correlation is actually to the age, the maturation of the brain and the body. That's what it really is. Schizophrenia is it's like the Queen Mother Mary of mental illnesses. It's a global impact on the brain. It affects every area of the brain. Therefore, you get movement disorder, you get mood disruption, you get thought disorder, all of it. It's catastrophic condition. Schizophrenia for males is onset 18 to 25. Women is late 20s. And there's prodromal symptoms that happen before the full-blown starts. And yes, it is true that sometimes you'll get people that will become psychotic later in life. But it isn't necessarily schizophrenia. They're in psychosis. They're having psychotic event, but it could be, for example, liver dysfunction. Liver dysfunction can actually critically affect the neurochemistry of the brain. It could be drug induced. It could be the result of a tumor. So schizophrenia is a big one, right? It would be hard for me to believe that somebody first gets diagnosed with schizophrenia when they're 30-something years old. Can happen, not saying that's unlikely. I would be more inclined, just based on what people have been saying about Nick, his early drug use, his drugs of choice. I'm more inclined to say it may have been just a psychotic, drug-induced psychosis. Watch what you say, people. These two fools will try to send you to jail because they're really important people. I know. We saw them in action, didn't we? We saw them in action. John is using all of the words that a charlatan uses. Could, might, maybe, supposedly, almost. I mean, that is a question, right? Is he aware that the things he's saying is BS, and so he wants to have plausible deniability? My husband has psychotic dementia. There's another example. Thank you, Cheated. It is such a difficult life that we are living. He is on antipsychotics, and the antipsychotics all by themselves are very difficult, correct? Cheated no more. So, yeah, it's psychosis of any organic origin is devastating. It's devastating. I just think it's laughable that these two people are talking about enmeshment as causal. They're talking about child abuse when there's simply exactly zero evidence of anything like that. He is a psychologist. What's happening here? You want to know the truth. When you have somebody that comes in and has these types of symptoms and history of different behaviors and such, you know what the first thing you have to do? First thing on your treatment plan, very first step. I'm sure there's people in here that know because we got a lot of psychologists and therapists in our community. Very first step in a treatment plan, very first step, go to your doctor and get an evaluation. Get your blood work checked. Make sure everything is in order. Make sure that there's no infections. Why? Why is a psychologist making a referral for a patient to go get blood work done? Because the brain is affected by the rest of the body and vice versa. Because you can be sick and end up with neurochemistry disruption because of that illness. The liver is notorious for that. So I think if my protocol says people coming in with certain conditions, the very first thing I'm going to do is get them referred to get a physical, to get their blood work done. Because I recognize biology is primary when it comes to behavior and mental health, right? Then why isn't he talking about that? I have Parkinson's and the new medication is making me so depressed. My poor wife has to put up with my mood swings. Paul, I'm sorry that you're dealing with Parkinson's. It's very complicated. Yeah. And as a side note, I myself was really glad that Trump rescheduled marijuana so that we could get research, right? We know THC tincture has been helpful in some research for people with Parkinson's, epilepsy, other types of movement disorders. So maybe they're getting closer to better options for you guys. And I am really sorry that you're dealing with that. It's very difficult road, very difficult. Hormone imbalance can throw your neurochemistry way off. Absolutely. Lack of sleep, insomnia messes up your neurochemistry. Yeah, that's the other side of it, isn't it? That she fell in love, romanticized the idea of being a victim of a heinous crime. Like, I believe she romanticized it in her mind. And there are actually real people out in the world that would give their right arm to just be healthy. It's really terrible. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and the pain relief from the THC. Yeah.
Check all of those boxes with Nick. The substance abuse, by the way, could very well be an attempt to self-medicate an underlying more severe mental illness.
Right.
So I've worked with a lot of offenders over the years who are alcoholics, or they're using a lot of marijuana, or they're using meth or cocaine to self-medicate because of their experiences with depression or anxiety or underlying mental health issues that they struggle with. Bipolar disorder is a big one where there's a lot of self-medication.
Yep.
So there could be that. But again, we know this is consistent. This seems to be consistent with what we're seeing here. The lack of stable employment, potential mental health issues, substance abuse for sure.
Yep.
We know that. And enmeshed family dynamics. The enmeshed family dynamics seems to be a theme that many people are talking about, that the Reiners coddled him to some degree, that they showed him unconditional love, even though he was acting out. And they even though they sent him to rehab a number of times and they kind of engaged in this tough love, in the end, they seem not to have gone in that direction. They took him back and they were paying all his bills. They were
right. And to critics, we can see that as coddling or enmeshment. And as the research is saying, of course, none of us know. None of us
we
know
don't
what
know.
this is like, the relationship is like.
Right.
And so there are a lot of outside opinions, but nobody really knows. And
okay. So, he sounds like someone in the 9th grade level. Psychology is pathetic. The lab is very off-putting. I don't care. Hidden Connections podcast coming soon. What is that, Maple Dragon? I don't know what that is. Exploit a victim, make some cash from it. They're on it. This is so wrong what he's saying. People believe him, which is a huge problem, right? Yeah, I would agree with that too. Oh, interesting. Yeah, TV, for sure. You mentioned Jolene's channel in your last video. Which channel? It's Jolene Lunzer. Let me put it in the chat for you. Oh, I can't. My computer's doing that weird thing again. I'm sorry. Lunzer is spelled Lun, like Nancy, Zer. And I'm telling you, she is so fun. And she is covering all of this foolishness with hidden true crime. I hope that all of you will go over there and subscribe. She's really great. Yeah, she's great. I do too, Dominique. I do too. Okay. So, yeah, connections with Jody Hildebrandt's brand. So what we're going to have now, the Hidden Connections channel. Is that the next step for them? I'm a survivor of horrible domestic violence, and my stalker I completely stay away from. Yeah, Maria, question. Do you make attempts to upset your stalker? Do you make attempts to try to cause public humiliation of your stalker? No, you don't. You try to be invisible to your stalker, don't you? But she absolutely set up Christina for public humiliation at CrimeCon. And I think that makes her a bad reporter. Okay. All right. I think Lauren is attempting to woo John back. I thought John was a little, he seemed a little angry. Is it right here? Let's see. Let's listen a little bit more. This may be where he gets angry at her.
That was actually like one of Rob's big things too, was that nobody knew his son like he did, you know, all the different rehab stints. Like, in the end, he felt like he knew sort of what to do. And I will say, none of us do know. None of us know what they went through with Nick. Although we might learn more. So.
I think we'll definitely learn more. 54% of the double parricides occurred because of a long-standing relationship, discord, or quarrel. That seems to be applicable here. The
I don't know why he's doing this, actually. Why is he reading this published research paper that had a sample size of 11, by the way, and he's trying to fit Nick Reiner into the research? Why would he be doing that? Like, you know, it's entirely possible, not plausible, but possible, that somebody came up to Nick Reiner and said, hey, I'll give you $10 million if you'll kill your dad. Maybe he does it because somebody pays him. The reality is, you can't fit a single person into any particular model. People do what they do, what they do, what they do. And the history of Nick Reiner, his own sister even, Billy Crystal, Rob Reiner's best friend, they're all saying the same thing. The man has been diagnosed with schizophrenia. That means he has severe mental illness. Whatever the organic origin, he is severely ill. He's not judging things accurately in his life. He's not thinking clearly. He probably doesn't even know what he wants or what he's going to do. He shows up at the party, he's tweaking. We know from the FBI, methamphetamine is associated with murder. Why is he doing this? None of that is discussing Nick Reiner, the person. You're reducing Nick Reiner's humanity. You're reducing the reality of Rob Reiner, his wife's reality, the way they live their lives, their dedication and devotion to their child. It's almost like you're trying to sort of somehow find like an excuse that the parents somehow caused what Nick Reiner did. He had mental illness. Have any of your patients ever had mental illness? You could be the finest parent on the planet doing everything right. Everything right. And if your child has schizophrenia or a psychotic disorder, things are off the rails. It's outside of your control. And again, remember what I said. Psychiatric medication that they were prescribing was exacerbating his symptoms, making his symptoms worse.
Long-term discord was about drug use.
Yeah.
And it was about him growing up, right? And him being responsible, right? I'm sure that they had a constant quarrels and conflicts around that issue.
Yeah.
The remaining 4 double parricides involved delusions, or that were primarily delusional. So that's interesting too, in the sense that could he have been delusional from using again?
Right. That's when I think of delusional, that's where I go. Did drugs.
Do you know what delusional is, Lauren? I wonder, does it have to be drugs to make someone delusional?
Cause delusion.
There was no, I'm going to read again here, quote, this is from page 316 of the same research study, quote, there was no single motive for the double parasites, indicating that double parasite is committed because of a combination of mental illness, criminality, that's the antisocial part,
Okay.
mental illness, criminality, and intrafamilial conflict. What we can confidently conclude is that there was no archival evidence of prior childhood prompting the violence.
Okay, and again, they had a sample size of 11.
They all left that party angry and distraught. And
there's contradicting reports to that as well, but it is true that Rob Reiner's friends said that he said, for the first time, I believe my son could kill me.
There are some reports that seem to indicate that some of that may have had to do with Nick using again.
Mm-hmm.
And again, methamphetamine is linked by the FBI to murder. Okay, let me see. I think, yeah. Okay, so we're going to end this here. All right. Question is, did we learn anything helpful from John's analysis? I mean, I didn't really understand what he was doing, really. I mean, he concludes at the end of this multi-hour live, his conclusion is exactly what everybody knows at the beginning. There's nothing new. There's no point to the citations that he's given. Yeah, it is hard to get through. It is. Dominique. Rob must have been so horrified. I hope neither knew it was happening. Me too, Retha. Absolutely. I just can't. John is making no sense. It's like he's grabbing at straws. Yeah, I think so. Is there an actual drug screen that's been made public? No, Bronforth. And I think so they will be having a funeral if they haven't already done it. He I believe his body was collected yesterday. I think it was yesterday. So probably Monday maybe for the funeral. An autopsy was done with full drug panel, but none of that will be back. And they're looking at 90 days before they get it back. But that's, both of the parents, 90 days for an autopsy to get back. That's an indication, in my opinion, my limited opinion. It's an indication of the amount of damage to the bodies. So contrary to what Hidden True Crime is suggesting, this doesn't seem like at all on any level that it was a planned method where he was exact and methodical with a specific goal in mind. It is more like he was in a frenzy. It was more like he was out of control. His mom was in a bit of a different place than the dad was found, suggesting that she ran and he caught her. So it's terrible. It's horrible. And the reality is that psychosis is terrible. It is awful. But methamphetamine is the upside down world of hell. It's unlike anything else. Yeah, exactly, Bronforth. So, no, I don't think this is going to turn out to be some anti-social planned murder so that he could get his mommy and daddy's money. And the fact that they're even suggesting that is just nuts to me. The crime scene taking 90 days to get autopsies back. No, the guy was in a frenzy. He was tweaking at the party. He was out of control. So it was nonsensical, right? It wasn't like planned for how to carry it out. So they're making content. They're just making content. They're trying to make it interesting. They're trying to make it, theatrical for YouTube, in my opinion. I think he has money from his grandparents. So I did hear a discussion. So the family, meaning the three siblings, right? They nearly immediately hired Alan Jackson, Karen Reed's attorney. And you have to say, okay, well, where did you get that kind of money from? Because Alan Jackson is arguably probably the most highly paid attorney right now in the United States. So where do you get that from? Well, Rob Reiner and his wife were worth $200 million, right? That means each one of the kids is destined to inherit $70 million. The way the law is, if Nick Reiner is found guilty, then he immediately loses access to his inheritance. He gets none of it if he is found guilty. Now, there would be an executor right now, so you're not altogether sure if he has use of his inheritance. That all depends on what Rob Reiner did, his attorney did. But there is the belief among the attorneys that are talking about this, they believe that the two siblings are paying for Alan Jackson, that they wanted Nick to get good legal representation because of his mental illness, and they felt like it would be a tragedy if he were to get the death penalty when he's actually obviously mentally ill. So they're paying, the family, Rob Reiner's money is $200 million. That is paying for Alan Jackson. The express goal, apparently, according to the daughter, it's not right to give him the death penalty. And so in essence, it just looks like they're trying to avoid death penalty. I do think they want to put him in a mental hospital. I think they want him found not guilty by reason of insanity. I think some of his actions after the crime is going to make that defense very difficult. So we'll see how it turns out. Victims will have access to PR firm through Alan Jackson. They will not engage with the Matthias. I really, really hope so. Thank you, Barb. AJ would do this for free. Colleen, some of the talking heads have suggested that as well, that he would be willing to do this for free given the totality of the circumstances. Julie, you just said what I was thinking. John is trying to blame the parents for the way they parented their son while having mental illness, the way they coddled him. I'm a little behind. Yeah, why are they saying they coddled him? You don't coddle someone with cancer. You help them. You don't coddle someone with real mental illness. You help them. John, schizophrenia, psychosis, they need help. He was not coddled. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree, Bronforth. I have no use for Lauren or John or their opinions. Thank you, Sandy Banks. He won't get any of Rob's money. He already is wealthy himself from his grandfather. There you go. Thank you, Bling. So you believe that he got some inheritance from Carl Reiner? Yeah, me too, Retha. Well said. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, Lauren is hysterical, having a meltdown over make-believe stalkers with the 8-year-old child watching it all. Yeah, it's great. It's really great. Aunt and uncle lived on Bundy Drive where OJ killed Nicole Brown Simpson and close to the Reiners. Wow. People will hear John's jargon and they will take it as fact. Yeah, they do. Anything they say, they believe it. It's really worrisome. Really worrisome. All right. I'm going to call it a night. And I hope you guys are, having a great Christmas season. We're counting down the days, right? We have 4 days to Christmas Eve and 5 days to Christmas Day. So we're getting there. And I actually made some food tonight for one of our Christmas celebrations. So that's why they giggle. Lauren is high as a kite. Of course. No, I'm happy to come back midlife. It's hard sometimes. Like I'm trying to talk really quiet because there's a house full of sleeping people. So, I'm not at home right now and I'm having to be really careful. It's fascinating to see what he really is saying. Yes, Kathy Winkleman, I agree. Okay. Thank you so much, you guys. DB, everybody, y'all have a good night. And I hope that your Christmas season is going very, very well.
Woke up at dawn with the pelicans in flight. Coffee brewing strong by dawn's early light. Waves whisper secrets to my open heart. The life around this water gets me off to a great start. Parrots wild, squawking loud in the old palm tree. Dolphin smiles, brighter than the Texas sun on me. We chase simple dreams, nothing fancy or grand, just honest days in this promised land. God gives rainbow horizons to those in this happy lane. Diamonds dancing on the waves, back sparkling again. Honest living, a pursuit of peace, family ties and the happiness we seek. Love, forgotten country running deep in our veins. Through the storms and the trials we break those chains. Good living brings the blessings we see. The rainbow horizons calling to me. Living each moment, giving truth from the heart. No deceptions woven, no false starts. It goes like a front porch this humble light, for the flag that waves and the grace from above, filling our hearts with endless love. No riches compared.
Okay, thank you, Just Scrapping. Thank you so much for joining the channel. I appreciate that. Also, thank you for the $5 super chat and the messages. Thank you for doing this. I was yelling at my TV during the 3-hour live after 9 hours that he is a bumbling idiot. Educated people can see right through it. Thank you, Just Scrapping. And believe it or not, there's a lot of us. It's not just me and you. There's a lot of us. I have a lot of psychologists in my channel, a lot of therapists, licensed social workers. There are some real concerns, and people are getting vocal about it. So, anyway, thank you, Just Scrapping, for joining the channel. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Everybody, sleep well, and I will. I might have a little time tomorrow afternoon, like maybe go live while I'm wrapping presents. I might not. So if I don't see you again before Christmas, please enjoy your family. Please have lots of fun playing board games, eating yummy, good food. And I'll see you like on the 26th or 27th. Okay. All right. Thanks y'all for sharing the evening with me. Talk to you later. Bye.